This is a quick instruction video for doing a SAM project. Hopefully it will give you some of the basics. It's not very involved, but it is one of those little homework assignments that get you started. Okay, we are going to go into course content, and then we will click through, or scroll down first, I would say. We'll go to the Getting Started assignments, since that's where there's a little sample one to do. And of course we get a little ching when there's an email coming through. We want to go to the SAM Getting Started project. You should have read about it up in here. But we want to do a SAM Getting Started project. We'll click on that and we'll launch it. And when we launch it, you have to wait for Cengage to load the content. Sometimes it's a long time, sometimes it's fairly short. Now, once you've got all your pop-up blockers and things set up correctly, you should be good to go. I recommend, instead of clicking check here, I have a check here or check system in the course content list. So we can go ahead and click on start. Now, we have step 1 of 2. We have an instruction file and we have a start file. You must download your start file because it has information that indicates that this is your file and not somebody else's. Not just because your name is in there, but because it has it in other places too that you don't see. So if you were to do the work and then you let somebody else have your file and they just changed their name in there and they tried to upload it and have it graded, it might upload, but when it grades it, it's going to recognize that, hey, just because the name's right has been changed to your name right there, it's not in other places embedded within that document, and it's going to flag both people for cheating or anybody else who used that file. And that's a 0 for the first offense. So do your own work, right? But we also have an instruction file that we need to download, and I am working, I think, within Chrome, so it should do the way that you're used to seeing it in the classroom and at home. So when I tell it to download, I have to save it somewhere. And I'm going to put it in a different folder here. I'm just going to put it on my hard drive in my office just for now. I will probably put it somewhere else later. But I'm going to go down to spring, because I always have a spring and a fall folder. And it's way down there, isn't it? And I'm just going to go into spring. Uh-oh, I don't have a spring 2021. Well, I'll just make one real quick. Spring 2021. And we'll open that up. Now, I'm just going to put my instructions there. I like to have them handy, excuse me. And then remember, in Chrome, you can go to the lower right-hand, or excuse me, left-hand corner, and you can open up the file so you can see what it has in it. Now, I'm going to just reduce that down here for just a second. The start file ends with a 1. And I'm going to go and bring up this document. I guess I closed it too quickly. But I want to show you that they're going to have you change the 1 at the end of the name to a 2. And we're not going to type in the .docx on these, because it does it automatically for us. So if you add a .docx, you're going to have 2 of them, and your name is not going to match the name that's supposed to be uploaded for grading, okay? So I like to do this when I'm downloading the start file. That way I don't have to go in and do a file save as or anything like that afterwards. Now I'm going to enable editing here, because what I like to do when I'm really doing it is I highlight what I've got done. There will be several steps in a project, and so you have to make sure that you know where you realize where you stopped and start, so you can start up at the next step. And also, it's kind of nice to know if you can, highlight something in a different color, so you can say, I was having trouble with this step, I don't know what's going on. That helps you to explain to me where you were, and I can help you faster. So we realize we've got to change the name from a 1 to a 2. So I'm just going to minimize it down again, and now when I click on the Start File Name, if you've got your Chrome set up to ask you first before saving, which it may not be set that way, then what I want to do is click at the end of my name where the 1 is. I'm going to backspace off the 1 and type a 2. Notice it remembers the folder and the path that I was using before, because when I put my instructions there. So now I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go ahead and open it. And when you open it, it's a blank screen, almost. Now I'll go ahead and blow this up some too so you can see it. Down at the bottom it should have in a footer, this file created specifically for your name. It may all be run together or not, it just all depends. Now, the instructions tell us, and you switch back and forth to the instructions. I like to print them out because, again, it's another way I can check off where I got to. But it says that when we're doing this, you know, good to know, little helpful hints here. Always use your start file from your SAM website. Don't use anybody else's. Read each step before attempting it. I really recommend that you kind of read through all the steps. Some have multiple parts, so make sure you get all the parts done. Don't edit your project file in ways that weren't specified. Some people like to change the font, or they like to change the theme because they think it looks better, and I might not disagree with you, but Sam's going to say it's not the right thing and it's going to count it wrong. And it would be right for it to do so because you're trying to follow the steps that they're asking you to do with the design elements they want you to use, just like a boss might be telling you the same thing. Okay, so right here we're going to see that we typically will have a brief scenario about the project and what we're supposed to be doing with it and who we are. And this is us as a learner working on our first SAM project. So we're going to enter in the first blank paragraph of the document, the blank document, almost blank, the word hello. Now we don't boldface it. So it should just be that typed in. No period, no space, no exclamation point or anything like that afterwards. And so it should look like this. Now here's the funny thing with the final figure. They don't show your little footer down there. I would have at least put the footer in there and just had your name, you know, but they didn't do that. So that's a little misleading, I think. Okay, so we will save it, and then we'll upload it to be submitted for a grade, and we'll go through that process, and it'll grade it, and you can actually look at your graded summary and, you know, even a study guide if you wanted to. Of course, this one with just one step is not going to really probably have much of a study guide. So we're going to switch down here at the bottom. I'm going to switch over to my SAM file, and I'm going to type hello. Now, I tried to add an exclamation point, some spaces, and a bunch of exclamation points, trying to generate an error so I could demonstrate an error. I could not get it to do that. I know I have a video. It might be MindTap Learning Apps demo, or it might be how to do training, which I don't think it's the training one because that's a different type of task. But I know I had a video somewhere that kind of walked you through this, and I was trying to show you, you know, what does it look like if you get an error message? Well, in the past it would give me an error message. Not so today. So we're going to just leave it like it's supposed to be. Now, you need to save it. You don't have to rename it because you changed the 1 to a 2 when you downloaded it. You don't see the .docx, so you don't type it. So all we have to do is click on the Save button on the Quick Access toolbar, and we're going to close it. I highly recommend you close any document that you're about to upload for grading. I had a student today, had like 5 or 10 copies, and she uploaded the wrong one every time. She thought she was uploading the one that had hello typed in it, but she was actually uploading one that didn't have anything typed in it. So, you know, I cleared that out, and we made sure she had 1 copy open, 1 downloaded, and she did it on the first try. So I think it's very important that after you save it, that you close it. You probably don't need your instructions, so you could close those out as well. Now, we click on Continue to go to step 2 in our little project. And you'll see this is the file name. Notice they show you the .docx. Remember, if you didn't have to type it, it's not going to show it, but it'll have that one .docx there, and it'll be accepted. Now, we have to go get our file. So I'm going to click on Upload Project File, and I'm going to have to navigate to 2021 for spring. And there's the file that I want, and I can widen this so you can see the full name. And so there's the file I want to select. I click on it and I say Open. If the file name's correct, you'll get this little green check mark. If you get a little red X on it and it highlights everything in red, that means you added a .docx. More than likely, that's the problem. If everything else in the file name at the beginning, before the period, looks the same, and you see a .docx here, chances are you typed a .docx and that put two of them at the end. If that happens, all you have to do is go back to your file folder where you saved your file. That's not the right place for me. Let me see if I can get another one open. Yeah, let me bring that one over. So if I go to Documents, and I go to, let me see if I can find it. Let me rearrange the furniture here. I'm not sure if I have it buried this deeply or not, but I'm about to find out. Yep, it's buried this deeply. Okay. So I would go back here, and if I have a .docx showing here, I would right-click on the name, and, well, let me get on it. Right-click on the name and choose Rename. And if you have a .docx, now I'm going to type one and I'm going to take it right back off. So if you see this at the end of your name, you really have two of those. So what you want to do is just make sure you click at the end of that file name, backspace off what you had typed, including the period, and then just hit the Enter key. Now you've renamed it to a proper name, and we'll just minimize that down. And then when if you go back and you come back here and, get your copy again, it should be the right name at that time. You want to click on Submit. It's going to do a virus scan to make sure there are no viruses attached to the file that you sent it. It's going to check the file format to make sure that you're using a version of Word that's acceptable. Right now, for this class, it is Office 2019 Professional, which this would be Word. It also can be Office 365 Pro or Pro Plus. It can't be so it can't be Word 2013 or 2016 or anything like that. It's got to be the specific ones we're looking for. It checks the file size. Now, there are other things besides viruses that can attach themselves and make your file size a lot bigger than it's supposed to be. So it checks for any other kind of malware that has attached itself to your file, and if that's bigger than it's supposed to be, then it would have given you a message that tells you, a dialog box that tells you, hey, this file size is wrong, and there could be something that has affected or infected your file. And of course, it still does the file name. Now here's where you can do a study guide. You can go look at your graded summary report, and I just tell you go ahead and do that. Now it's going to bring you up, and notice it says Report 1. If you had to redo your project to try to get a better grade, you go in and look at your original report, and you see something that you missed, and you can go back and you got 2 extra tries, so you've got a chance of 3 attempts for these kinds of project assignments. And you'll get into those in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access. But you have 3 attempts to better the grade, and it will record the best grade from Cengage MindTap over to my grades in Blackboard. So I don't change the name of this because this is just my first report. So I want to save it first, and then I want to open it. And if I did everything correctly, I get 100 out of 100. I got a little green check mark. So you can just close this out because you're technically done with that and you know you've got it. I'm going to close this out and I'm going to try to go to my grades and see if it's posted it, okay? Because ultimately it should send it. And there it is. Sam Getting Started Project 100, okay? I actually also did the file management SAM training earlier. So we know it's gotten the grade and it's been passed over. Let me go back to course content very quickly. Let me go into, I'll just go into a regular assignment right now. Let's see here. It doesn't matter which one I go into. I just need to go into one. This is a reading, but what you need to do. And this is what I'm going to show you. You're in your reading, and you're going to read, all these different topics. And remember, you can highlight. Now, I've got a wonderful video that shows you how to use a lot of these different buttons we have. Some of these we don't use. So you've got a video out there that's going to help you in getting started, videos. So make sure you look for those. But when you close this out, you can take a look at how your score is. We really don't want you living here because you don't get to see anything but the exams, and these don't unlock until the dates that they are specified there to do so. And it's just confusing, I think, for the students. So when you get finished with something, or if you want to look at your grade book here, when you're finished it, just close it out up here, and that takes you back to your content. But if you want to look at your grade book, you can open up the grade book for you. Now, don't let this number fool you. This number is only for the things you've done in SAM. It doesn't include your syllabus quiz. It will not include an operating system assignment that you're going to submit via Blackboard. There's another part of your final exam that has to be done in Blackboard only. So this is not going to be, and this is not a weighted average. So this is only just an overall score of how you're doing in the projects, the exams, the quizzes, and the trainings that you're doing within the Cengage, MindTap, and SAM environment. But they're not weighted like they are in My Grades and Blackboard. So this is a good snapshot of kind of how you're doing within the SAM environment or the MindTap environment. But you need to go back and look at My Grades for your weighted average to see what your actual score is for the class. This thing still keeps popping up, but you can see, how many attempts you took to get that done. You click on the attempt, and it'll show you your attempt, and you can click on View. I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit, see if it's showing you guys anything else. And I can pull up an individual. Now, this is you yourself doing your individual performance report. Now, let me make it big enough for us to see everything. Now, we got everything done correctly, 3 out of 3. When I try to go in and look at some of your training stuff now, because this is the training, this isn't the project we just got through doing. Used to, it would show me what you missed so I could see what you did. I can't find where Cengage lets me do that anymore. But you can take a look at how you did. And let me close that one out. And if you wanted to take a look at, let's go back to progress. And you looked at the one that we just did, the SAM Getting Started. So if you click on that one, you can view. And this time you can view graded project or view a study guide. So if I view the graded project, you're going to have to download a report. And remember, that's the same report you got before. So that's just another way to get this report. So I'm not going to actually save that, okay? If you view a study guide, you can at least see what that looks like. And this is what I'm used to seeing, in that it would show you if you missed something. Now, you didn't miss anything on this one. But if you missed something, it would let you go to some remediation reading, or an area for training on how to enter text in Word. So it does provide you with some study guide reporting. So that's nice to get as well. So this ends, I'm just going to close out this entire browser window or tab, and that just finishes how to do the SAM project from the Getting Started assignments.